only after the last tree had been cut down, only when the last fish had been caught, and only when the last river had been poisoned, only then you'll know money cannot be eaten.
To see it up close firsthand and to see what it's doing is appalling.
In March 2008, a group of concerned citizens from British Columbia visited possibly the most destructive industrial megaproject in the world. The tar sands are large deposits of heavy crude oil located in northern Alberta, Canada. The tar sands are a mixture of sand, water, and an extremely dense form of petroleum called bitumen. This is the largest known oil reserve in the world. It requires an intense process to dig it up and even more to refine it. There are huge amounts of money being invested in the development and expansion of the tar sands. Companies from all over the world are here to get a piece of the pie.
The remoteness of the oil sands has allowed the companies who are developing the oil sands to get away with a lot of stuff that they wouldn't have otherwise be able to get away with.
It looks like the northern part of the province of Alberta is not split up by municipalities, but by which company has rights over which piece of land.
They've convinced the government that any false move on the regulatory front, on the environmental fronts, on questions of pace of development, if the government does anything, that the whole house of cards will come down, that all the companies that have been lining up will also disappear overnight. I mean, essentially what we have right now is a government that is paralyzed by both ideology and by fear.
The process of extracting oil from the tar sands is extremely destructive, causing the devastation of a huge chunk of Canada's boreal forest. For every barrel of oil produced, you need to dig up 2 tons of soil.
Impacts from a global warming perspective are huge. Massive deforestation issues, massive habitat loss, and then you can smell the air here is completely toxic, and so raises a lot of questions about what's happening with workers here in terms of their health, and then what's happening with downstream communities in terms of their health as well.
It takes as much as 3 to 5 barrels of fresh water to get a single barrel of oil. When they are done using the fresh water, it is dumped in vast tailing ponds the size of lakes.
They hold the poison water, 3 million barrels a day of it that is being poisoned in these huge holding tanks. The only one comparable to the Syncrude one in terms of size is the Three Gorges Dam in China. And when you fly over, you see that these holding tanks are right on the Athabasca. This nonsense that they've been separated and what the government says it's all protected is just nonsense. One break and the Athabasca would be totally destroyed.
I would rather die of thirst than drink that river water. We do not drink that water. That's poison, you know?
Okay. So people stop eating the fish the way you're not drinking the water there. You have to, right?
You have no choice.
You have no choice.
Yeah, but fish, people still eat fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still eat the fish.
The process also requires burning natural gas, about 1 barrel for every 2 barrels of oil retrieved, generating a huge quantity of greenhouse gases.
People in BC and across the country are, within 10 or 15 years, are not going to heat their homes, and we're going to be running out of natural gas. Should we be using natural gas to make this dirtiest oil?
In the 1930s, you could get 100 barrels of oil with about 1 barrel of input energy. So it was 100 to 1 payoff. The tar sands are barely 2 to 1. So the tar sands, when you get 100 barrels of energy, you've already burnt 50 barrels of that energy to get it out.
The levels of notorious carcinogens in sediments and waterways are steadily rising in the Athabasca. The communities downstream see the impacts firsthand. deformed fish have been found. This one was caught during a gathering called the Keepers of Water Conference in Fort Chipewyan this past summer. For the last 4 years, Fort Chipewyan has urged the government to look into the strange illnesses of its population.
It's not possible to get a proper study, like a Health Canada study, an epidemiological study or anything of what, like, if that was happening in any other community, they'd come in and say, what's causing this?
The last one that passed away, 20, what was he? 27? What does that tell you? He's been exposed to it for 27 years?
Right.
It's really sad. We don't get to be old. Her dad has cancer.
31 years old.
31 years old.
When we destroy environments like that in order to grab a bit more energy, what we're actually doing is foreclosing our options for survival.
They're going to destroy the entire area. There won't be a living animal within, a radius of maybe New Brunswick or twice the size of New Brunswick. The story is crazy. The story is really one of hubris, one of this notion that we are humans, that we're above nature, that we can do whatever we want, that we, somehow it'll all come back. And anyway, who cares? We won't be here. We're going to make our money and leave.
What humanity has to learn how to do is actually survive on less.
We have to say no new developments. That has to be the very, very first and absolute demand.
I don't know why the rest of Canada is not like in major uproar.